Hey guys, this video will be going over the balance changes specifically for Ed in this new Season 3 balance patch. But before we get into it, there is just one thing I have to say. In all my videos, I've always tried my best to not let my own personal opinions on the game kind of seep through into the videos I'm making, because I try to just, get factual stuff out there that people care about. I don't think people particularly care about my opinion, but this game, especially with this patch, it's really pushed me to a point where I just feel like I just have to say how it is. This is a patch I personally think is quite bad. I think the game's been heading in a bad direction for a long time. And this is not, I'm not even talking about Ed's changes, like the character balance. I won't go into it too much right now, but all I'm saying is I don't think character balance matters in this game at all when the system balance is in the state that it's in. So I don't get so bothered about weird changes to character balance when I think the system is in desperate need of changes. But don't worry, we're going to get really weird character balancing changes that we're going to get into very soon. But I do plan actually, very soon I plan to make a big video going over what I think, like my personal views on this game's overall system mechanic balance. And some things, it's like, a lot of things that you would have heard addressed commonly, stuff like, drive rush and throw loops and that, all the obvious stuff. But there's a lot of stuff in this game I think needs to change or needs to be talked about that people don't properly talk about. There needs to be more awareness spread of how this game exists currently, basically. And I thought I'd just make a concise video of what I see as all the problems this game has that are still not being addressed in balance patches, right? But anyway, let's get into the Ed character balance. This is a very odd one. We'll take it one step at a time. Alright. Where is my... Here we go. Alright, I'll just go straight to the changes here. This is just some modern stuff. I'm not too... modern players. I'm not a modern player, so I can't really comment on that. First change we have here, a bug fix where apparently Ed could walk slower in Burnout when burnt out. I didn't know about this, but hey, good they fixed it. Whatever. OD flicker has been changed, right? That is this move. And I think it's both of them actually, not just OD, but regular as well, yes. Screen freeze on successful parry now. Alright. Let us get that up. Parry. Block type. Perfect parry. As you know, in the past, when this move would be parried, it would just be like a fireball parry, like... Oops, let me set Terry to actually block. Like, it would be that kind of block, right? But now, it's this. This is definitely a very big and significant nerf to this move. But honestly, in a vacuum, as big of a nerf as this is to the move, I don't think it's... Like, I could live with it, right? In a vacuum. This is very important to hear what I'm saying. In a vacuum, I could live with this change, right? I think it's fair enough in a vacuum. But when you consider how butchered this move got in the previous major balance change, where, like, this has, like, double the hurt box that it used to have. Just, like, holding this like this is, like, double the hurt box it used to have. And on top of that, kill rush backwards, getting double the hurt box it used to have. I think this is so overkill for this move to do it, right? I think they should have just done this to begin with and just left kill rush and the hurt box on this move how it used to be. If you reverted those two original changes and just had it like this, I think that's a lot fairer way to balance this move, right? But as it is, you know, I think this is an over nerf. Would have been fine by itself, but in conjunction with the previous nerfs, I think this is just a bit crazy. I want you to look at how minus that is. Minus 19. They can drive rush punish you. They can drive rush punish this move. Like, that is big. He can drive rush punish me right there. Minus 19. Drive rush jab is like 15 frames. So he could probably do like a drive rush medium button into whatever, you know, something like that. I'm not going to set it up because, you know, I don't want to see it. But anyway, let's move on to the next change. Normal Psycho Flicker change. So, can now be cancelled into kill rush forwards and backwards. Alright. Let me just change a couple things back. Lock off the first hit. Normal. Just standard. Alright. You see now, you can cancel this move when it hits like this, alright? Now in neutral, this doesn't really do anything, right? I do that, cool. I should probably explain this a bit better just so you guys understand. I have him set to block. It doesn't work on block, alright? It doesn't work on block. So if you think it's like something you can do where you can like move around while doing stuff like that, no, it's not like that. It's only if it hits, which they didn't state in the patch notes. Only if it hits does this work. And let me just say, in neutral, this is useless, I would say. Even if you hit them here, minus 17. You don't want to do that. That's a punish. They punish you there. Right? And this, I mean, it does something, but it's not particularly useful. And you might be thinking, what about when I do a punish counter? It could help there. It could lead to some more optimal, you know, punishes or something. And the answer is that I don't think it does. You can do, look, none of this stuff is going to work. If I just, even if I'm like really close, it doesn't combo like that. You can do these weird, crappy combos. But the reality is, if I punish counter someone like this, I'm not doing that. I'm just drive rushing, right? I'm just drive rushing and doing something like this, like a real combo. Like, the cancel doesn't help me. I would rather just do what I've always been doing. It's like 100 times better than anything you can do from this. So in neutral, this doesn't change anything. What this does change is it opens up more combo routes, right? So even your basic, you know, bread and butter combo, you would normally do this, right? You'd normally do that. 200 or 2,879 damage. So like 2,900 damage basically, right? Now you can do stuff like this, right? There we go. 3,130. It adds 250 damage, which is a big damage increase. That's a big damage increase. But here's the thing, right? This combo, the old combo that does 2,900, this was already really good. This is great damage for 2 bars, great Oki, great corner carry. This was great. This is so good. This is strong. Making it even better, giving it 250 extra damage, which is a lot, it's overkill. And Ed doesn't need this. Normally when you buff a character, you're supposed to help them with something that they're struggling with, right? And Ed is not short of those things. Even when he was even when he was at his strongest, you know, where people are saying he's top 1, blah, blah, blah. when he was at his peak, he was still a character that had very significant weaknesses that I'm not going to say needed help with, because it's okay to have weaknesses, but if you're gonna buff him, those are the things you're supposed to look at and, you know, give him a bit of help there. But instead they've said, oh, just give him 250 damage on his bread and butter combos, open up some other combo routes. He does not need combos. He does great damage already, great corner carry, great knockdowns. He doesn't need any of this stuff that more combos add. Yeah, that's a basic example of what this does. It also helps in there's corner combos. I'm sure there's level 2 optimizations, but level 2 is already so good as a combo that, like, he doesn't need it. It's not needed. And that is the only buff he's got in this patch, right? Which I wasn't even looking for buffs, to be honest, but it's just a bit, you know, I'll come back to, I will actually come back to these combo routes in a bit after we go over a different change, right? So let's go back to it. Alright. Next we have medium and heavy psycho upper. Decrease super gauge gain. Medium version down, heavy version down. This is a very simple change. And I think this change is a fine nerf. There's nothing wrong with them doing this. Now the point of this change is this upper, right? This upper, these two moves, these two special moves have had meter reductions, as in super meter. Super meter that you get from this has been reduced. And the reason for this is they want you to build less meter from a level 2 combo, right? And the numbers don't look that bad, but it's actually pretty significant. But I will say, I think this is a fair balance change. I think this game has too much meter, especially in situations like Ed's level 2. And I think, I mean, if these kind of balance decisions were spread across the game properly, the game would be so much better, right? So I'm not going to complain about this. I think Ed has been over-nerfed, but I'm not going to complain about this kind of nerf, because I think it's completely fine, completely fair nerf in a vacuum, right? And even with him getting obliterated in other areas, I still think this nerf is fine. The game should be going more in this direction for everyone. Watch the super meter at the bottom. That's the basic combo. It doesn't even build half a bar anymore. It used to build like around 66%. You know, like two-thirds it used to build. Now it's less than a half. That is and it had already got nerfed, right? Last patch. So that's pretty significant meter gain difference. But it's a fair enough change, I think. Anyway, let's get into the final change. This is the craziest, like, this is such an unreal change, right? In my, okay, I don't know where to start with this one. They've adjusted Ed's forward throw, increased recovery by 2 frames, reduced the knockdown time on hit. So, how do I explain this? Ed recovers 2 frames slower, which you think, oh, only 2 frames difference, that's not too bad. But they also reduce the knockdown time on hit, so your opponent gets up quicker. And what that means is it's even more minus on block than 2 frames, right? Well, not on block, but like on wake up, right? Reduce the distance from opponent on hit in the middle of the screen. This, it sounds like it's a good thing, but it's not. We'll get into it, don't worry. Increase distance from opponent on hit in the corner. And extended the buffer input grace attack recovery ends on hit. And buffer input grace period. Attack recovery ends on hit. Right. Alright. Back to the game. What does this mean? I'll tell you, like I said, I don't know where to begin with this. I'll tell you why they did this. they wanted to stop this, right? They wanted to... This isn't a real thing anymore. This is not a real thing anymore. Doing throw into this. That's what they wanted to nerf, right? And how I see this change overall... how do I put it? When I say this, I have no hatred in my heart for the people who make this game. It's very important that I say that. But I'm just stating what is true and what reality is. I don't think the people who balance this game understand their own game, and I know for sure they do not understand this character. Because this isn't the first time. They've obviously tried to nerf one thing, and they just have not thought about all the implications of nerfing that thing and all the like collateral damage that it causes. And they don't seem to care, because I just think they don't know, right? They just don't know, right? So let's get into it. They want to stop this situation. It's no longer real, okay? And the first thing you have to think about this is people often did not use this situation. This was not a dominant Ed strategy, I will say. The best thing to do most of the time when you threw someone in the corner was to just forward dash and do like strike, throw, shimmy, oki, right? Because when you grab someone with this and you pull them in like this, you can't shimmy them anymore without taking a risk. Because they're so close that you can't walk out of throw range in time, right? So it was a worse throw bait like situation. It was a worse mix up. But it was good for like, if they were in burnout and they wanted to do wake up level 1, it was a guaranteed way to pull them in and beat a level 1 on wake up, for example. And it was good sometimes to just do it anyway, just to like mix things up, keep people on their feet, make them feel like they're in different situations and they're kind of thrown off by what's happening. But it was not the dominant knockdown, in my opinion. You would do this, right? And you would take this. But now, because they've done this, let's set this up, right? 4 frame. Because they've done this, Ed no longer has a throw loop in the corner, right? This is, as far as I'm aware, this is the only character they've removed throw loops from, right? And it's just, everyone else can throw loop in the corner, except, you know, like Elena and Chun or whoever couldn't. They have just killed his throw loop. Because apparently the character with like no real mix-ups or overhead, you know, he doesn't have the overhead low mix-up going on. He just, you know, all he had was strike throw in situations like this. And it's funny because I think the whole game should be like this. Everyone should be like this at best for throw loops, right? But it's just so funny. Like, you can only laugh that they do this to just one character, right? And it's like, you have to ask what they expect you to do in this situation. And the answer is they're like, this is just, obviously, I'm just assuming things here. They're like, oh, Ed, great neutral character, great neutral. Ed, he throws you and then he wants to play neutral, so he's got good whiff punishes and that. But the thing is, no one else has to whiff punish in this game. And you'll even see very good players, professional players like Bonchan saying, you shouldn't focus on a whiff punish heavy game plan. It's not worth it. It's not worth the mental energy of it in this game. Why does Ed have to try so hard and play this kind of game when no one else has to? Everyone else can just throw. You know what I mean? It's very silly. It's a very bizarre change, and I don't think they deliberately did it. I think they were just trying to get rid of this situation, and this is the collateral it's caused. But it goes a lot deeper than this. Allow me to continue to expand on the changes that this change brings on. You can drive rush here, right? You can drive rush, and you might be like, oh look, I can drive rush throw. The thing is, this is very specific timing to begin with. This is a very specific timing that you can mess up. Which, like I said, if everyone was like this, that's an improvement to the game. But this is just done to one character, right? But that's not all. A lot of the reason this is an easy throw loop for me to do right now, as you're watching it, is because Terry is crouching and he's pressing a button that extends his hurt box on top of that. So I kind of throw into it, right? Let's just have Terry stand up and not press anything, right? This makes it so much harder. Look at that. Look, this makes it so much harder for me to properly do the throw loop, right? I have to guess if he's going to wake up crouching, or wake up crouching pressing a button, or wake up stand up. Because if he's waking up standing up, I have to go further with my drive rush, right? I have to go further with this drive rush so that I'm close enough to throw him. But if I do that, and he instead wakes up crouching button, it's too late for me. I get hit, right? It's like, it's not a proper throw loop. It's for similar reasons to why the forward dash isn't, right? And like I said, if this was how the whole game was, amazing change. That's what we wanted even. At least that's what I wanted. It's what I hear a lot of people say they wanted, something similar to that. But they've just done this to one character, right? So you have problems there, but don't worry. This doesn't end here. This also affects his mid-screen throws. And you might think, oh, they end closer now when thrown. That's great. This feels the same, right? That looks the same. This is what you would do anyway, right? Throw, kill rush forward, take the space, good corner carry. Only -7. That's cool, right? That's cool. That's pretty much the same. But let me show you how bad this is, really. If someone learns the matchup, this is all they have to do. Rise in place. See where I end up now compared to Terry? And see down there how it says I'm now -7? If I try to take the space like how I used to, I end up punishable in Terry's face. He can just wake up with like a medium punch or something, and I get punished big here, right? So now, on something I can't react to, I have to, if I want that space like it used to be, I have to put myself at punishable risk, which is definitely not worth it. It's not worth it at all. It's really not worth it. So what do I have to do instead? I just do this, which is taking less space than the past. So it's also nerfed in that way, right? And if he, you know, recovers back, which most people will, but I'm still like, I can't do it. This is as much space as I get now from a forward throw. Whereas in the past, it was this. Like, this is such a... And I guarantee you, this is what I'm saying, I guarantee you the people who made these balance changes, they did not think about this stuff. They did not think about this situation, how this is affected like this. I guarantee you they did not understand. They did not understand that this is a thing. It's like when they nerfed this button and they put more recovery on it. They put more recovery on this button and it just messed up a lot of Ed's auto-timed level 2 combos. And there was no reason to put an extra frame of recovery on this button. It didn't make a difference. It's one extra frame. It's not any more reactable. Still like 13 frames total or something. But yeah, I said I would go back to the kill rush change. The old, this one. As we said, we see all these nerfs, right? And this is one thing that I find it difficult to understand about their balance decisions. They do all these big nerfs to the character, right? And they don't... Then they're like, oh, but we have to, you know, nerf and buff. That's our philosophy, right? They buffed him, as I said. They gave him more damage on his combos and combo routes when his combo routes and damage were already great. This does not help the character. He did not need this. If you're gonna buff as well as nerf, maybe buff like how he struggles to defend himself with faster buttons like lights, like this. They already nerfed this really hard for defense. This is still bad defensively, very bad. He struggles so hard here, and he struggles so hard in situations like here, where even if he's a bit plus from blocking a poke, his button's 10 frame, 9 frame, but can be ducked, 10 frame. This button's terrible in neutral, it's 7 frame. Can be alright, but 8 frames. Like, he struggles so hard in these slightly minor situations where he should be at advantage, but he just doesn't have buttons to compete or defend himself in these situations, right? But he gets no help here at all. Gets no help with the lights at all. No help with the anti-air, which is fine. That can be his weakness. I don't mind that. But it's just, there's other things that, like, a million things, come to mind. It's just, doesn't get this reverted. Doesn't get this move's hurtbox reverted to how it was. Doesn't get the kill rush backwards reverted to how it was. Both of which should. If I could only make 2 changes to Ed, it would be putting this hurtbox back to how it was, putting the kill rush back, hurtbox how it was. I can keep all the other nerfs, as silly as they might be. Well, other than maybe the throw one, the corner throw, the throw changes in general, right? I'm happy to accept the throw changes in general if it happened to everyone else. As it is with just Ed, it's just, I don't know why him specifically, compared to other characters, right? But there is just one thing I wanted to quickly say in regards to these patch notes and Ed. Like I said, they give Ed all this, like, oh, nerf him in all these ways, but we gotta buff him, buff his combos, the things that are already really good, blah blah blah. I just want you guys to see the philosophy they have in this game. I just have to briefly talk about this, right? Let's go Marissa. I just want to really... Okay, now what's Marissa's problems? We know Marissa has a lot of problems, right? I'm not going to go into them, but we know this character pretty weak. I think she was the weakest character in Season 2. What's their ideas for buffing Marissa? What does she need? Like, what can we do to fix this character, right? Read this. Marissa will now be able to get damage a little bit easier than before via different approaches thanks to the changes. If there's one thing I think when I think about Marissa, it's that she is the highest damage character in the game. To make her better, she does not need damage. She is the damage character. This is not how you make the character better. It reminds me of Manon last season or last character balance patch. They didn't actually make her better. They're just like, oh, just add a bunch of, she gains more super meter on this, this, and this. That doesn't help her, right? This is such a silly change. It's so silly. And it's not even like a one-off thing. It's like how I said with Ed, give him better combo damage. It's already good. He doesn't need that help. And let's look at this, alright? This one is crazy to me. Aki, they've nerfed her a bit, which I think is fair enough, but I'm not going to get into who I think should and shouldn't be better, really. I'm not here to talk about tiers and character like balance like that. But there's just one thing I found interesting, right? Look at this. This line, to me, is just so out of touch. While some of her most commonly used combo starters were given scaling and weakened slightly, she has also received a number of new options to use in her combos. New options to use in her combos. Aki has the best combo routing and the biggest combo variety in the game already. She did in Season 1, they gave her more in Season 2, and they've given her more now apparently. That's what they're saying. That's their idea of what to give her. I'm not saying this makes her too good or anything, by the way. I'm not saying anything about how this affects her in terms of how strong she is. It's just they look at these characters and they're like, oh man, what can we give this character? Well, she's got the best combo, the most diverse, best combo routing in the game. Oh, we can buff them. I know. More combo routing tools. Like, it's so out of touch with reality. It makes, I just don't understand it. It doesn't help. Like, I'm sure it helps a little bit, obviously, because a buff, helps more than a nerf. But, like, this isn't what these characters need. It isn't the direction they should be going in. And it's the same with Ed. He gets these new combo routes. Ed has so many great combo routes already. He doesn't need this. But that's my rant so far. Like I said, I plan to make a big video just talking about the game's system balance in general. And it's going to be much in the same vein as I've been talking recently, this video. But, I mean, I'm trying not to say it in such a way that's like, you know... At the end, these are my opinions, right? Anyone who disagrees with me on anything that I say, I don't hold any, you know... That's cool. Like, this is just how I feel about the game. And I feel like, whether you agree or you don't agree, I think we really need to have these kinds of discussions publicly about the game. Like, I feel like some people are just too quiet. You talk with you know, go to locals, talk to people about these kinds of things. And just, people need to look at these things how they are. Well, you know what I mean? Whether how they are is how I'm saying I think they are or not, there's just... Things need to be different, things need to change. And like I said, Ed, overall, the too long didn't read, Ed is pretty heavily nerfed, but I don't think you should worry that much because character balance doesn't matter so much in this game. System balance is the problem. And the offense is so strong in this game that even characters who should, by all rights, be pretty weak, they're more than good enough to do well with, right? Ed, I mean, I'm not going to say where he is on the tier list now. I don't even want to say if he's strong or weak, but I think he's good enough to win with. And I feel like you can say that for most characters in the game, right? Maybe like the bottom 3 or 4 you can't say that. But I don't think he's that low. That's as much as I'll say about where I think he is on the tier list. We'll see. But yeah, please look out for my next video talking about the system mechanic stuff. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, all that business if you want more. Join the Discord, links in the description. Thanks for watching.